All right, a very good morning. My name is Kevin Dutton, and I'm actually your facilitator for this and speaker for this presentation. But before I continue, I'll pass over to Eris from Phoenix One to do some introduction first. Eris, are you there?
Hello. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the FitSM webinar. I am Iris Singson, the Marketing Specialist of Phoenix One Knowledge Solutions. We are a wholly owned Filipino training solutions company that provides both global certification and non-certification courses. And together with MindMagine and our speaker for today, Sir Kevin Dutton, we will help you discover FitSM, a practical and cost-effective IT service management framework designed to drive organizational transformation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Iris. Okay. All right. So again, warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us in this 1 hour webinar, where I am actually going to introduce to you something called FitSM. Yeah, it's a service management framework. If you're familiar with ITIL, you this is somewhat similar, but we will see what the difference is. Yeah. All right, so yeah, that's me. I'm working for an organization called MindMagine, yeah, as a senior consultant, and I'll explain a little bit of MindMagine also in the coming slides. Yeah. Okay, so first, let's go through our agenda. So we got an hour for this particular webinar, and I'll start with a short introduction about MindMagine itself. Then we'll go into the contents, which is an introduction into FitSM, how we use FitSM for organizational success. Um, if you're starting your IT service management journey, then what you need to take note of. We'll look at some real-world success stories of FitSM implementation globally, and then finally look at the FitSM certification. Okay, and last but not least, we are open to any questions and answers that you have. Okay. All right. Now, one more thing that we will also be doing just after the introduction about MindMagine is a poll with several questions, poll questions that we will open up to all of you as participants, and I need your feedback. Yeah, to get your feedback, so I have more or less an understanding of where you are in your service management journey. All right, so let's start. About MindMagine first, then I'll introduce myself. So from an organization called MindMagine. Okay, MindMagine, we are based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We used to be called Quint Malaysia. Some of you may have heard of us in the old name, but as of November last year, we've rebranded ourselves when there was a management buyout, and now we are known as MindMagine. And we came up with the definition of MindMagine, where we blend deep cognition with industry insight, always seeing through our lens of empathy in everything that we do. So as an organization, we not only do training, but we also do advisory and coaching, okay, in several areas of our expertise, which I will introduce later. Okay. Now, a little bit of history about our organization. Although we have been rebranded as MindMagine last year, November last year, but we actually have been in Asia since 2001. Okay, that's where our corporate, which is actually in Europe, from Amsterdam, established a regional head office here in Kuala Lumpur back in 2001. And essentially, we grew, and we essentially then started having different offices in throughout Asia before finally consolidating everything back into Malaysia again. Yeah. So uh, some key advantages that we have includes taking consideration that all our trainers are also consultants. Yeah, we're both consultants and trainers like myself. Um, in our portfolio of areas of expertise, and thereby when we do trainings, we use our experience and we are able to give examples based on our experience itself. Yeah. So these are just some of the key areas of our expertise. Typically, we talked about service management itself as one area where FitSM resides together with ITIL, but there are also areas that we specialize in, specifically iterative management like sprints and Scrum, yeah, lean here, sourcing and governance, organization change are some of the key areas that we actually focus on. Yeah. So this is our accreditations that we have today and some of our clients. Okay. Now, before I continue, just want to let you know, be aware that this entire slide deck will be made available to you at the end of this workshop. Yeah. Phoenix One will probably send this slide deck to you. Okay. All right. So let's go into our introduction to FitSM. Now, before I go into the introduction, we are going to do a poll, and I would like you to please respond to this poll, okay, as you can here, accordingly. Yeah, thank you. So if you can help and answer the poll, it would be really, really good. Thank you. Hey, thank you. I assume everybody has done the poll. Right. Okay, I think everyone here is more familiar with ITIL than anything else. Simplicity, alignment with industry best. Okay. Use of implementation. All right, good. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Now, the other thing that you can also do is that we have enabled question and answers. So if you have any questions that you want to ask us, do type it into the question and answer column. And then at the end, when we reach the Q&A, I will then proceed to ask to answer any questions. Although I'll keep my eye on it. If I see any questions being asked halfway also, then I may respond to your questions accordingly, since this is a very small group. Yeah. All right. Thank you. So let's start. Let's continue with introduction to FitSM. Now, what is FitSM? we call FitSM a very lightweight standard for IT service management. Okay, um, we are all very familiar with ITIL, but if you know ITIL and if you've been trained in ITIL before, ITIL today, especially with ITIL 4, it's considered very heavy in some aspects, yeah, because it covers a lot of things, um, and how it integrates into the different components and how the components interact with each other, which is actually very good. But for some organizations, it can be a little bit of overburden in terms of how to get it implemented and established within the organization itself. So FitSM was actually developed specifically because the practitioners like ourselves who were looking for service management found FitSM to be too heavy, and they wanted something much easier to understand and implement, and that's where they came out with FitSM. Yeah. So we call it's a lightweight IT service management. It's still service management, it's still process focused, but very lightweight. So because of this, it's very suitable for any kind of service provider, any type of industry, or doesn't matter whether you're a large organization or small organization, you will still find FitSM to be applicable. Okay, why? Because the traditional service management like ITIL is just too heavyweight or sometimes a little bit unrealistic. The key principle that we're focusing with FitSM is to keep it simple. Yeah. And one major advantage of FitSM is that it is open source. Okay, in a sense that it was created under the Creative Commons license, and thereby all resources are available freely for anybody. And I'll explain to that where to get that information. In fact, you can see it here. This is the website that you need to take note of, because every other resources that I'll be talking about later can be downloaded for free from this website. Okay. Now, FitSM is actually managed by an organization called ITMO, okay, or ITMO. They are a non-profit organization, which is another good thing. Yeah, that's why FitSM in some ways makes is very affordable for a lot of organizations also. Okay. All right. Now, what is the FitSM approach? So FitSM has four key principles, okay, which we will see in the next slide: practicality, consistency, sufficiency, and extendability. Okay, these four principles lead into the foundation for service management, which we all know if you're doing ITIL or already have some elements of service management in place. Focus is on service and customer orientation. We are always service and customer oriented. We are process oriented no matter what, even though if you've attended ITIL 4 before and we talk about practices, but at the end of the day we are still very process oriented, whether it's incident management, problem management, change management, they are all still process focused. Yeah. And continual improvement, this is key. Okay, it's still very important because we're never perfect. We always have to be seen as improving ourselves. So the four principles of FitSM includes practicality. We want a simple, proven guidance. We don't want to drown in theoretical best practices. It needs to be consistent, repeatable performance from all the artifacts and documentation we have. It has to be sufficient for my needs. Good enough, and that's it. I don't need something that it's perfect. As long as it meets my everyday, day-to-day needs, fantastic. Yeah, but it also needs to be extendable in a sense that we leverage many sources of knowledge rather than lived in a walled garden. Typically, we're looking at the community and the feedback we receive from the community that allows us to expand with the knowledge that we have. Yeah, these are the four key principles that FitSM is based on. Now, a very quick history of FitSM. So FitSM was originated in 2012 from a project that actually started about consolidation of service providers coming together for a particular project in Europe. Yeah. So they were looking for a service management framework, and obviously, they veered towards ITIL, but they found ITIL too heavy. Okay. Some of you may agree with it. And thereby they say, okay, this is not going to work, especially when we have so many different service providers working collaboratively to support a single customer. So then they decided to come out with a lightweight approach. And that's where in 2013, FitSM was actually created. Okay. So they created the standard, they created the training, and in 2015, it was commercialized, some aspects. Essentially, although it's non-profit, but this is where commercialized in terms of ensuring certification was actually performed, was made. And that's the exams that you're going to sit for it. Yeah. And in 2017, so far, 1,000 certificates have been awarded, 15 plus accredited training organizations with a new certification authority, which is actually APMG. Okay, so if you're sitting for our exams, it's actually certified by APMG. Okay, all right. Now the parts of FitSM. So FitSM comes as a very well-defined standard or framework. Okay, so it's divided into different parts. Yeah. Part zero is just an overview and vocabulary. Part one is the actual requirements. And if I'm not mistaken, there are 84 requirements. Sorry, 82 requirements in FitSM. Part two is process definition, activities, implementation, inputs, outputs. And part three is the roles and responsibilities, okay, that are necessary for the framework itself, right, to run service management. That's the core standard. We actually call it a standard, yeah. But it's also supported by some implementation aids. Typically, we have templates and samples, which is very good if you have never done service management before. They actually provide you the guidance now through the templates and samples. We have implementation guides also. These guides actually go into detail and tell you, for example, how to define a service, how to look at what a process is. Okay, those are the guides that actually been provided. Yeah. And last but not least, very important, as part of continual improvement, they actually provide you an assessment scheme. Okay, that means we know that for processes to be operating, for many of us, we want to know how well they are, how efficient and effective. And it's difficult to determine that if don't have a tool to actually measure them against. So good news, FitSM provides you an assessment scheme for you to determine the maturity and capability of every one of the FitSM processes. Okay, so all these parts, like I mentioned, are freely available for download from the FitSM website. So that's why it's in a way considered open source. Yeah. All right. Now we look at using FitSM for our organizational success. Why is FitSM capable to improve our quality, our customer satisfaction, drive operational efficiency, and so on? Okay, what are the key reasons? The first most important reasons, we have limited processes. FitSM only recommends 14 most common processes, and that's it. Okay, this is moving away from ITIL, which has 34 processes, or even ISO 20000 with 22 processes, or COBIT with 40 processes. Um, for a lot of organizations, especially if we are not a major, large organization, we have lack of resources, uh, these are more than sufficient. Okay, even though if you look at this particular list, probably you can identify some of them. Very common, like incident and service requests, problem management, change management, release and deployment management, service level management are some of the most common processes that we have. Okay, so FitSM has looked at the whole suite of processes that an organization needs to have and determined themselves that out of everything, hey, wait a minute, we only need this 14, and that's it. And that's why we call it lean in some aspects. Yeah. All right. These 14 processes have also been broken down into two different areas. We call it the plan and deliver and operate and control. So operate and control has six key processes which deal with our operational day-to-day activities. Yeah, BAU activities like configuration management, change management, release and deployment management, incident management, service request management, problem management, and continuous service improvement. Now, the planning side, which are the key important planning processes. We have service portfolio, service level management, supplier management, service asset and configuration capacity, and so on. So they have divided the processes into two different categories, which makes it easier for us to actually focus which areas are actually necessary for us. Okay. Now, the other aspects of service management for a lot of us that when we implement is we very much focus on the process only, and we tend to neglect in some way the requirements that come from management's perspective. So what FitSM has done is align themselves very closely related to ISO 20000, which is a standard for service management, and determine specific minimum requirements that for an organization, if you're implementing service management, you actually need to have. And I completely agree with that. For example, the first most important requirement of all when you're doing service management, top management commitment and accountability. Yeah. Someone needs to be accountable for the overall service management system that we have. The goals of service management needs to be documented. We need to have a policy, and there needs to be consistent review of service management itself, what we as an organization is doing. And so what FitSM have done is they have put what needs to be put in place, and we call them requirements. So under the general aspects, there are 17 minimum requirements for service management system. And later in the process perspective, there are 65 requirements. And that's it. Okay. By combining this 82 requirements as an organization, they say that's all you need to have. Yeah, something that's actually missing from the ITIL framework. They tell you a lot, but they don't go into specifics, and sometimes we get lost or we drowned in the information that's actually provided for us. So from a general aspect, they say, okay, top management is very important. Documentation is equally important, and they have specified key documents that you need to have, like your policy, your plans, and of course, all your process documents. Okay. And then how do you manage and maintain your documents itself? Okay. After that, they also then look, okay, if you're implementing service management, we follow the Deming cycle of plan, do, check, act, something I'll also talk about later, and break them into how the service management system should actually be implemented. Like defining our scope, setting the timeline, determining the process, monitoring the performance, and finally, continual improvement. Okay, so which is key, which is basically everything we need to do. Okay. All right. So how do you start your ITS service management journey? Now, this could be in line for those who are looking to actually establish service management somewhere, or if you already established, then how you expand yourself. Now, if you're thinking about service management itself, very important before you embark on your journey or before you start moving into the ITIL way or into FitSM way, several considerations first you need to take into account. What are your current business and IT challenges? What are your pain points? Yeah. At the same time, understand the voice of the customer. Voice on the customer in a sense that what are your customers actually looking for? What is the business crying for? Okay. Then from these two, your challenges, the voice of the customer, you then determine your strategy. Okay, what service management strategy you're going to have, and then then you determine how you're going to utilize service management to essentially remove first the barriers of silos, so that you can establish an end-to-end service perspective, meaning you want the entire organization, from a service provider's perspective, to have that service mindset. Yeah. And establish, very importantly, what we call collaboration. Okay. So to help us do that, some questions that we can ask ourselves, like what is the vision and mission of the organization? What pain points do we have? What pain points do we want to address? Do we have the resources? Do we have the competencies and skills? Do we have the budget? Because these questions, our answers will then determine how detailed service management is going to be for your organization. And that becomes key for us, because if you start moving the idle way, it can become expensive in terms of, not from a monetary perspective, but in terms of the number of resources and effort that's actually going to be utilized. Okay, but now you have another option. Okay. All right. So, like I mentioned, in the one principles of for service management is to focus on continual improvement, and this is the normal continual improvement cycle that we always use. If you're familiar with Deming, plan, do, check, act. The issue is, for a lot of us, is we do a very good planning, we do very good implementation, but we tend to stop there. So it's like plan, do, stop. No, it should be plan, do, or implement, plan, implement, and then after that, validate or assess what you've done, and then improve on it. And that cycle continues. So the whole idea is, over time, we will improve our maturity or our capability. And that's what we actually aim to achieve. Okay. Right. So if you're starting your ITSM journey, like I said, understand the context of your, or of managing and delivering services, define your scope, consider leadership and governance also. Okay. And then planning and implementing service management, monitoring, reviewing, and improving your service management itself. And that's essentially where FitSM will actually help you by coming out with the actual requirements that you need to have. Okay. And everything that we would have thought about what is important for us to start our journey is well defined in FitSM as part of the requirements that need to be established. And this makes it very simple. Even as a consultant, when I look at it, I said, it's like detailed step one, step two, step three, step four that you just need to follow and have in place for an organization that's embarking into FitSM. Kind of missing now that you find in the latest version of other frameworks. Okay. Now, equally important when defining the scope of service management is not forgetting leadership and governance. Okay, leadership needs to be seen to support the initiative, but at the same time, you still need to ensure that people follow the processes. And that's where governance comes in, by establishing appropriate policies and ensure we have the sufficient resources and people are doing what they need to do. Okay, and that's why it's very important that we follow up and reassess again what we have implemented. Otherwise, we tend to fall back in the old ways of working, and the whole effort may be completely wasted. Yeah. So to help us in that journey, this is where FitSM comes in, tells us, okay, uh, in your first step, when you plan and implement, first, remember, plan and do. So we're going to plan and do. They come up with the specific requirements of what needs to be done. Creating the plan, designing the roles, doing your training and awareness, managing organizational changes, planning and implementing your new or changed services accordingly. And these are all very well documented in the FitSM standards. Okay, under part one, all the requirements have already been documented. And then once you've done your plan and do, then you come back and you review what you need to done, what you've done. So effectiveness, efficiency. FitSM goes into detail to also determine some examples of performance indicators you could have and audits that you may need to do. And finally, your capability and maturity assessment, because we always need to do a check and balance. If we don't do that, then we subject ourselves to best guess effort of what we are doing. Sometimes then we always wonder, we have already got all these processes in place, but we are still facing challenges. Customers are still not happy with us, not happy with our services, our activities, and we start wonder why. Okay, and that's where your continual improvement comes in. You have to assess: are we really efficient and effective as we should be? Yeah, and all this is where FitSM provides you the necessary artifacts to do that kind of assessment and with the appropriate guidance accordingly. Yeah. All right. Next, we look at some real world success stories. I'll just run through examples of these. The detailed writes up can be also found on the FitSM websites. Okay, one of the success stories includes the European open source cloud project, where they wanted to facilitate seamless access to a wide range of research data, basically. So their challenges includes a very complex service landscape because they had different service providers coming together to essentially support all the different customers across Europe itself. And there was a lack of service standardized service management itself, in the sense that service providers may have been running service management, but very individual. Okay, so they came up with a solution that they looked at FitSM as a framework to essentially streamline their service management practices. And that's one of the strengths of FitSM, because it's focused and it's built essentially from a federated perspective. Yeah, federation in terms of service providers or suppliers coming together, working together to support services and getting everyone to follow a standardized service management framework itself. So the benefits they achieved from it was common language standardization in service management, resulting in better communication and collaboration, improved quality, faster resolution, reduced downtime, and give them an opportunity for service improvement, continual improvement, and also learning and innovation. All this is essentially what the framework actually focuses on. Okay? Now, another example was University of Zurich, which essentially had many issues and challenges with their IT changes. Okay, so what they did was they looked at the FitSM framework standard, and they decided that they needed to have a change management process in place. And based on the requirements that was provided by FitSM, they successfully implemented the change management process, and from that they were able to overcome their pain points and have better control of all their IT changes itself, which is something that's very key important for us. Now, what we're saying here is all we need to do is look at the requirements that are provided by FitSM, and from that determine the simplicity from these particular requirements. And because it's only focusing on, like I said, the most common processes: change management, incident management, problem management, request management, and so on, which is all we need for, especially if you're a SME. You don't have that resources and the budget and the capabilities for wide scale implementation. You don't have to do that. It's just focusing on what you need, and that's it. Okay. All right. Next topic: certification. So yes, there are education and certification paths. Essentially, these are the current certifications that are available, and I'll go through each one of them a little bit more detail in the next few slides. But at foundation level, they have the FitSM Foundation, which is 2 days, and that's it. Okay, just 2 days with an exam. So the exam is usually held on the end of the second day itself. Huh? Um, so it's like 1.5 days, and that's it. Introduce you, which gives you the introduction into FitSM itself. Okay, I'll go into detail in the next slide. Now, once you've done the foundation, there is an option for you to do the advanced level, and the advanced level are two different courses. One is the service operation and control courses that deals with the 6 processes we saw earlier, focusing on BAU activities related to operations. Yeah. So this is where incident management, problem management, service request management are all in. Yeah. Then we have another 2 days for the other course, which is planning and deliver. Okay, focusing on the planning courses, capacity, service level management, service portfolio management, ability management, they are all here. Okay. Now, the highest you can go is what we call the FitSM Expert level. Okay, which gives you an overview of the implementation of FitSM within the organization and its alignment with other standards or frameworks. Okay. Now, there is an option called the FitSM Bridge. Specifically, if you are an ITIL expert or you have ISO 20000 consultant or an auditor, then you have an option to skip the advanced or foundation level and do the bridge and obtain your FitSM Expert Bridge certification. That is also available. Okay. Now, all the courses here are just basically 2 days, and that's it. Okay. Right. Now, who is the FitSM Foundation for? Basically anyone managing and operating federated IT services, or I would say within IT itself, as part of your role, if you're dealing with processes, whether incident management, problem management, change management, whether you're a network engineer, database analyst, service desk analyst, the foundation becomes key for you. Now, what are you going to learn in the foundation itself? Basic IT service management concepts and terms. What is a problem? What is an incident? What's a change? What's a request? What are service level agreements? Yeah. The purpose and structure of the standard itself, the framework underpinning the FitSM. So we go through an overview of all 14 processes, an introduction into them, the key vocabulary related to each of these processes so that people understand what they are actually doing, and the requirements defined in the framework itself. Yeah, so that you can quickly implement and FitSM if that is your intention. Okay, by going through the foundation. So it's a very quick overview of the process itself. Now, I've done this specifically for organizations that already are ITIL implemented. That means they have started with ITIL, they have moved into ITIL processes, but they kind of see that now the ITIL foundation courses um, could be a little bit too heavy. Yeah, because there's so much new things that ITIL 4 have actually recommended and moved into, that all they want is just basic knowledge for the staff to have about processes. Why do they do incident management? Why do they do problem management? What is change management? And that's it. So going back to basics, we call it, if just process focus, that's all you need to do. That's all you need to know. Yeah, at foundation level. Yeah. All right. The advanced courses, operations and control. Okay, here, uh, prerequisite is foundation. You must pass foundation first in order to do the any one of the advanced courses. So here we go into detail activities now for each of the processes. Yeah, related in that particular category. So in service operation and control, this is basically more for those who are going to be actively involved in coordinating these processes. Yeah, so that we introduce to you what these processes are, the activities that we need to do, the inputs, the outputs, the roles and responsibilities. Yeah, so in service operation and control, we focus on incident and service requests, problem, config, change, release, and continual service improvement. And that's it. Okay, if these are the key important processes that your staff could be focusing on, and you only need to know this is the cost for you. Okay, because we extract every other additional knowledge that may not provide you the value you need, specifically if it's not related to your job role and responsibility. Yeah, so it's very much focused on the operational aspect. Yeah, keeping the lights on, making sure services are ready. If the breakdown, we fix it. That's it. Yeah. All right. The next advanced course, which is the planning and delivery course, same prerequisite is foundation. Same thing, we look at the process activities, we look at the process details like inputs and outputs and the roles and responsibilities. But now we focus on the other 8 processes that are considered planning related. So these 8 planning processes includes things like portfolio management, service level management, service reporting, availability and continuity, capacity, information security, customer relationship, and supplier relationship management. Okay, so it talks about planning. Planning in a sense that what do we plan? We plan for service levels, we plan for portfolio, we plan for availability, we plan for capacity, we plan for security. Okay, so this would then be relevant if your job role or responsibility is any one of these areas, specifically things like service level management, will take continuity or capacity management, security management, then and that's all I want to know about the processes, then this would be the course for you. Okay. All right. Lastly, the expert course. So prerequisite for the expert course is the 2 advanced courses. You must pass the 2 advanced courses, which means all 3 foundation and the 2 advanced courses, SOC and SPD, before you can sit for the expert. If you are not doing the bridge, huh? So in the expert, this is where we now start giving you an overview of what the framework does and how it starts relating to other frameworks. How closely FitSM is related to, for example, ITIL, COVID, ISO 20000, ISO 9000, as an example. Okay. At the same time, we now go back to the generic requirements for having that service management in place. So we talk about leadership and governance, okay, and the commitment from senior management for the implementation of the service management system itself. And then we go through all in detail the planning and implementing activities, followed by the monitoring, reviewing, and improving activities. So here we focus on PDCA, plan, do, check, act activities that form part of the standard itself or as part of the requirements. Now, these would be very much helpful for individuals who ultimately are going to be responsible for the service management system itself. That means in your role, you are going to be implementing service management, you are going to be overseeing the processes within the organization itself, then this would be your course for you. Yeah. So those are essentially your 4 courses. Okay. So in summary, okay, to give you an overview of what we have discussed. So FitSM provides a number of benefits. Okay. Typically, number one, simple. It's very simple. It's a lightweight practical framework designed to be easily understood and implemented. That's the whole purpose of it. Yeah. It's flexible. You can scale it and adapt it according to your organization size and types. You have 14 processes in place, but it doesn't mean that you need to have all 14 processes. It's not an ISO standard itself. You can still tailor it according to your own need. Yeah, it's cost effective. Okay, it's open source. Yeah, so the resources are available for you from FitSM website that you can download, and rest assured, even the certification courses, exam courses cost, for example, are way cheaper than others. Yeah, and then it's very closely aligned with uh, ISO 20000 as a standard itself. Yeah, very closely related to it. So strong points for FitSM. Yeah, practical, consistent, sufficient, lightweight, open source, better fit typically for academic or public organizations where you don't have a lot of budget or resources. Best starting point if you are new to service management. If you've never done service management before, this would be your key basically. Yeah. Foundation is a more practice-oriented service management intro than any other service management frameworks out there. Can be very easily integrated with ISO 27001 or even ISO 20000 itself. Yeah. Now, strengths because of this, it's easy to implement, low complex, 14 processes only, and that's it. Okay, so it's actually perfect for SMEs. Okay, we've talked to organizations, and organizations realize that with limited resources, and I still need to manage incidents and manage changes, FitSM will be perfect because it's lean, it avoids waste, it integrates, it's not holistic like other frameworks claim to be. It's clear, tells you exactly how to start, and the focus is on quality. Okay? It has an inbuilt maturity assessment for each of our processes, and that's actually very key important. ITIL, for example, has also a maturity capability model, but you have to pay for that tool. It's a tool that you actually to pay for. Even from MindMagine itself, we also have our own capability and maturity model that we would use ourselves. Okay, if we are to do any kind of assessment. So that's something to also consider. Yeah. So in summary, okay, weaknesses though, there are some weaknesses might be too simple for multinationals. I don't know. Okay, because you could be quite matured yourself as a multinational. Um, it could be a bit too simple for you. Okay, it's not as comprehensive as ITIL. Okay, and it's not holistic. It's very process focused. Yeah, it just tells you exactly what you need to have in place, and that's it. Yeah. So if to do product comparison, for example, when you talk about affordable exams, FitSM is there. You talk about audible requirements, very similar to ISO 20000. FitSM is also the 82 requirements, and that's it. 82 requirements, nothing else. It's open source, okay, no licensing, best value, okay, very basic training material. Certification does not require recertification, meaning it does not expire. Yeah. Unlike ITIL now, if you all know, there it expires after 3 years and you have to renew it. FitSM, you don't need to. Open source templates and samples are readily available from their website. You have that maturity assessment tools, and there are basically process implementation guidance. ITIL also has that, yeah, but so does FitSM. Okay, so if you do a comparison here, depending on your own organization needs, you can seriously consider first take a look a little bit more detail into what FitSM actually offers from the FitSM website and try and weigh that with what ITIL as a framework is actually offering to us. Yeah, to see what that considerations are. Okay. All right, and we've reached almost the end. Last topic is question and answers. Are there any question and answers from the anyone as a participant? Okay, I've got a question here from Jean. How does FitSM compare to other well-known ITSM frameworks like ITIL or COBIT? Okay, from a framework perspective, FitSM, ITIL, COBIT, they are all basically aligned. Okay? Although COBIT is a little bit different because COBIT is a governance framework, not really a service management framework. Although it's focused to service management processes and activities. Okay. Now, in terms of ITIL, though, ITIL and FitSM are in a way very, very much aligned with them. Um, I would say FitSM is an extraction of ITIL because all the processes that we have in FitSM already exists in ITIL. It's just that from a FitSM perspective, they feel from an organization, I ITIL is just too heavyweight. 34 processes compared to 14. Yeah, I don't have to have 34 practices. Um, for me as an organization, I just need to have that 14. So they are very closely related. The process activities, the process rules, the process responsibilities, the inputs and outputs closely match with what ITIL is saying and even what COVID is saying. Okay, so even implementing FitSM as a framework itself would still, in a way, align you very much to the governance needs from a COVID perspective. So very closely related. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. I mean, just to share with you, common questions that I also get from some of my clients, like they will always be asking about support. Okay, what level of customization does FitLighter tailor to organize unique needs? Um, okay, if you talk about customization, uh, FitSM is not officially standard like ISO 20000. Okay, although they define themselves as a standard, and the only reason they do that is because they say we have 82 requirements that you need to follow. Okay, now it doesn't mean that you have to follow all 82 requirements. Again, as an organization, when you are doing service management, very important, yeah, you need to first know what your objective is, what your standard is accordingly. And then look at what FitSM and mix and match accordingly. So you can customize according, and that would always be from as a consultant perspective, we always advise our customers to do. Okay, you take what best practice has to offer, like FitSM or ITIL, okay, and you look at what you already have from a proprietary perspective, and you mix and match that. There is no hard and fast rule associated with it. There's no right or wrong. It's something that ultimately benefits your own self as an organization. And that's very key. The advantage of FitSM is because it is simple, the requirements are very simple. Chances are, when you look at it, it's easy to understand, and thereby something I can probably relate to. You could probably relate to. If you cannot, then you look at what you already have and then align it to what you need to do. So yes, tailoring, you can tailor it according to your needs. Yeah, there are just 82 requirements. That's it. Okay. Okay, another question. Are the 20 other ITIL processes embedded into the remaining 40, or are they completely disregarded? They are completely disregarded from FitSM's perspective. Okay, that means from FitSM's perspective, they don't see it as key, important processes that we need to have. So yes, they are in a way disregarded from that perspective. Yeah. For example, in ITIL, we have organizational change management, which is in a way disregarded from FitSM and a few other processes. But if you look at what FitSM offers, most of the processes are key. These are most of the key processes that you would probably have. within the organization itself. For a lot of us, we probably can relate to what we see here because it's essentially part of already what we are doing. Yeah. We don't have, for example, things like the management, infrastructure management. We don't have um, requirements analysis management, and so on. Okay, that's outside our scope. Okay, so it's if you look at it, it's nothing too much different from previous versions of ITIL, okay, where they only had 24 processes. Yeah. So in a way, it's like going back to basics, lah, I would say. Okay, last one. Can transition. Okay. Can you elaborate on the practical steps to transition from an existing ITSM measurement framework? Okay, in reality, there is no really fixed steps. Yeah, if you already have the processes in place, chances are you do. One of the recommendations is to quickly do the maturity. Okay. Uh, Download the Excel spreadsheet. It's actually an Excel spreadsheet from FitSM and do an assessment of your current state. That will probably be the first thing that you need to do. So it tells you, which is actually very good because it actually tells you what you are actually achieving now already, and then look at where the gaps are and then use the gaps together with the requirements, the 82 requirements, and see what is missing. That would probably be the first step that you need to do as you transition, as you try to transition into FitSM. That would be the best way to do it. Yeah, download the Excel spreadsheet and do an assessment of processes that you already have. Are there recommendations for FitSM aligned to? Now, if you talk about service management tools, any service management tool would, I would say, be aligned. Yeah. Whether you're using the best tools out there like ServiceNow, or you're using Remedy or Manage Engine, or even Jenkins itself, that's just part of the tool. Um, yeah. So there's no certified FitSM aligned tool. In fact, there shouldn't be also be any ITIL certified tools. But they are all any service management tool basically. The only recommendation is the tool needs to be somehow rather integrated, where integrated in a sense that incident ticket, problem ticket, change ticket, release ticket within the same tool. The things start to get complicated when you have separate tools, but you have one integrated tool that will be your perfect solution. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Question here: is it fair to say that one can take FitSM as a starting point and eventually move down the idle line? Absolutely. In fact, that will be the recommendation. Because if you look at the basic training that we are doing, we start with process. Yeah. Something that unfortunately, even as a trainer for ITIL 4 Foundation, we don't really do. Okay, we don't go back to basics of what a process do, although I do mention it in my own trainings when I do. Um, Back to basics. Why? Because when you finish this and you move back, when the participant finishes the foundation training and they go back to the organization, it is still process focus. Yeah, although in ITIL we start in foundation about practices, but when you leave and go back into your organization, you are still process focused. So you need to know what a process is. Incident process, problem process, change process, service request process. It is still process focused. Absolutely. So you are starting first. Yes, we can put the price also. We will do that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for those questions. Before we close, two more slides. Okay. One is evaluation. We sincerely hope that you'll provide us the necessary feedback. how you found this course, this webinar effective, whether it was a good introduction for you. Let us know so that in the future we will consider other webinars also if this was really helpful for you. Yeah, so take a snapshot of this QR code if you can. Okay, I'll give you another 20 seconds to do it. Okay, before I find you the last slide. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The link is there in the chat window. Okay. And finally, the last slide. Good news for all of us, all of you who are participants of this course. If you're interested in the FitSM Foundation, okay, or any other FitSM courses, when you book them, there is a 10% discount for you. Okay. For this discount, you need to contact Phoenix One. You can either call them or email to them. They will also provide you additional information when they upload, when we provide you the slides and all that. No worries. You have a 10% discount if you can book your course before 1st September. Yeah, that's for being a valuable participant today. Okay. All right, that's it. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for your time, and really hope that this was a valuable opening and introduction into FitSM. And I wish you all the best, and also have a good day for the rest of the day. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.